In yesterday's video, I asked if Pascal Siakam would bounce back after being benched against the New York Knicks, and he made it very clear very early that the Pelicans game was not going to be that game because he struggled throughout as New Orleans took a very close 120-116 contest. What was the key reason for the Raptors' demise in this game? Let's get into it. Welcome to the Raptors Roundup on Amateur Hour Sports. This is the segment on the channel where we talk about the Raptors game from the night before. We give you a brief overview of the game, we go through a synopsis of proceedings, and then we end off with 3 key takeaways that we can take from the game and move on with for the future. But this is Amateur Hour Sports, where we give you NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors at least 4 days a week on the channel. So if it is your first time here with me today and you like what you see, you want more of myself talking about the Toronto Raptors in this vlog or video podcast style of format, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Show your support, join the movement of the channel. But today, again, we are rounding up the New Orleans Pelicans game against the Toronto Raptors, in which the Pelicans eventually win by 4 points. The Toronto Raptors struggled for a lot of the second half, turned it on late in the fourth quarter, but it was a little bit late, and with some help from the referees giving the New Orleans Pelicans 28 free throws in the fourth quarter alone, the Pelicans managed to get it done. So Pascal Siakam, after being benched, really struggles and fouls out pretty early again. 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the Raptors didn't start their comeback until Pascal Siakam fouled out. So not a good look for Pascal after not playing well at all really throughout the game, and then fouling out that early. A really bad look for Siakam. But, I defend Pascal Siakam a lot. I want him to succeed. It's okay to be positive and want these guys to succeed while also holding them accountable for their mistakes and their deficiencies, because you have to hold Pascal Siakam accountable for the performance he put on last night, because he was poor, and I think he contributed to a lot of things that went wrong for the Toronto Raptors. And you can still support Pascal Siakam and hold him accountable. That's part of building a healthy team environment, because they want to be better. It's not because they don't like the guys, it's because they want them to be better. But definitely did not happen last night. So let's get into the synopsis of the game. First quarter was really highlighted by an unconfident Siakam, unwilling to take on smaller guys in the paint. Like, there was 2 opportunities where Lonzo Ball was on him, and Pascal Siakam refused to go up and to potentially draw a foul or get an easy point in the bucket, and kicked it out. And Siakam, even when he was getting his opportunities to shoot, was not knocking down shots. And this was also highlighted by the Pelicans. They are hitting everything. For some reason, when the Raptors are playing them, Eric Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball become the better version of the Splash Bros, because they hit absolutely everything, and it's so frustrating. And the Raptors were hitting nothing. OG Anunoby's woes from 3 continued to start this game. Went 0 for 7 against New York. Started this game, I think it was 0 for 5 from 3. We need him to be better. And he cleaned it up a little bit in the second half, but we need him to be better. We were continuously settling for all these threes and not getting anything at the bucket, and it was very ugly basketball. The Pelicans, who were getting a lot of stuff in the paint, were getting a lot of foul calls in the paint, and Nick Nurse was yelling, all these light foul calls that are going the Pelicans' way. But I'm thinking, well, we're not even trying to draw these calls, so what's the point of having these light fouls being called if we're not taking advantage? But then the Raptors take a timeout. All of a sudden, Boucher comes in the game, and we make it a point to get to the rim. We started getting fouls, we started getting points, and it was looking nice. But could we continue that into the second quarter? We were really struggling in the half court, though, especially in this second quarter. Throughout the game, we struggled in our half court offense. We continued to settle for threes in the half court. When we were working our full court offense, working in transition, that's when the points at the bucket started to come. Boucher came in and was a huge boost to the game. Boucher was hitting his threes, getting to the rim. One of the only guys actually drawing fouls, hitting his free throws. He was so refreshing to see. Chris Boucher played the way that we expect Pascal Siakam to be playing. And that shouldn't happen from your backup guy. Your main guy, your max contract guy should be the guy playing like that. And Siakam gets 3 fouls already early in the second quarter. So Boucher slides to power forward and excels throughout the game in that position. How long have I been begging for the Raptors to play Boucher at power forward with another big? And it was working so well because Boucher was getting our offensive rebounds. So our centers, either Aaron Baines or Alex Len, could spread the floor and give Boucher all that space on the interior on a decently sized defender for him, not on the big like Steven Adams. And it was working so well. I have no idea why it's taken us this long to actually use that system with two bigs, Boucher at power forward. And Fred also starts taking over in the full court offense, actually starts getting to the rim as well. So Boucher and Fred on their backs, we go on a lovely run. We go on a very good run where we end up going up 51-45. We are 14 for 20 in the paint at this point. We had 28 points in the paint. Like it's just so much easier to get your points at the bucket and mix it up. The second quarter was so good to watch because we were mixing up the offense, getting Fred and Boucher to the free throw line, getting them to the rim to get easy points. It was just way easier. And with all this going well, the Raptors are up 60-55 at halftime, and this is a game that we're able to take over if we can figure out how to play our third quarters. And spoiler alert, we can't figure it out. The game really slows down in the second half because it becomes more of a chess match and less of, this chaotic basketball in full court. So there's a lot of half-court sets being played. And like I said, the Raptors were really struggling in those half-court sets and were settling for threes again. And it wasn't falling. They were not falling. And it was a big problem. The Pelicans probably loved the speed of the game because they're great in the half court, because Brandon Ingram is a guy you can just give the ball to and let him do his thing, and he's going to ball out and he's going to get his, because Brandon Ingram is filthy. That guy is taking it up a notch even further this season, it looks like. He is very difficult to guard. You're getting a lot of shades of Kevin Durant in that guy. That could be a scary player for the future, only at 23 years old. There's a lack of opportunities in transition for the Raptors, which makes it very difficult to get any points, and Siakam continues to struggle, but Boucher continues to thrive. Like Pascal Siakam, for real, has to get some notes off of Boucher, because Boucher is attacking the rim, and even over bigger defenders, puts up his shot, but because it's so close, a lot of them fall, and it's because it's so close in, he's getting a lot of foul calls and getting to the line and hitting his shots from the free throw line. The Raps shot poorly this quarter, the Pelicans shot great, and they take over. Bledsoe hits a ridiculous buzzer-beating 3, and the Pelicans are up by 5 heading into the fourth. Get into the fourth where we don't clean it up anymore. Our offense is chaotic. We look like we have no plan in a half-court offense. There's no set plan on how we're going to get our points. The only reason we ever get any sort of points off of our half-court offense in this game is because the Pelicans aren't great at defense. And sometimes in our chaos, we somehow free up a miraculous open shot. But they weren't falling as often enough, and we weren't creating good looks often enough. The Pelicans continue to move with Ingram and Zion Williamson starting to take over in the fourth quarter. A familiar trend, we go cold, the other team takes care of business, goes up pretty big. Siakam at the start of this quarter was hurting more than he solved, and he eventually finished minus 16 in the game, and I think he was one of the key contributors to the Raptors losing this game. And I hate saying it, I hate talking about Siakam like that, but the reality is he was one of the main factors in this loss. If he wasn't on the court for as much time as he was, the Raptors probably win this game. And I'm thinking in this fourth quarter, where is this offense going to come from? And I've said it so many of these games already. Where is this fourth quarter offense going to come from? Like, how are the Raptors going to win this game? If the shots aren't falling, what are they going to do? But then all of a sudden, the shots do start to fall. The Raptors go on a big 9-0 run. And all of a sudden, we're in this game again. Shots are just starting to fall. We're still not getting to the rim. We're still not creating good sets. But if the threes are falling, then the Raptors are all of a sudden in this game, which they were. And all of this happens as soon as Siakam checks out, because he's fouled out for the second time in 2 games for him. And he fouled out with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, which afforded the Raptors a ton of time to get back in this game. And they did it pretty quickly after Pascal Siakam went off. But then as it gets really close, Lowry plays a bad pass to OG Anunoby, which forces OG Anunoby to turn over the ball. Momentum shattered. And as we really work this comeback, New Orleans start getting even more petty foul calls than they already did. I mean, New Orleans had 47 free throws in the game to our 27 free throws. In fact, in the fourth quarter alone, the Pelicans had 28 free throw attempts. Now, I know there was some technicals in the mix. I know that a lot of that was in the bonus, but still, the Pelicans shot 28 free throws in the fourth quarter alone. In all 4 quarters of basketball, the Raptors shot 27 free throws. Now the Raptors, they lost by 4. They had their struggles. They weren't shooting very well. The Pelicans did shoot very well, and the Pelicans probably deserved to win the game in the end. But the refs made it really easy for the Pelicans to win that one, especially in the fourth quarter when the game was, in the nitty-gritty, right in the tightest situations. They really made it easy for the Pelicans to pile up on those free throws. A lot of them were the right calls. Brandon Ingram was drawing some fouls, but a lot of them were really light. And the Raptors had a lot that weren't going their way, especially, I think the game was tied. Steven Adams sets a really late moving screen on Fred VanVleet and knocks him over. No call there. And then after all these little things that the Pelicans get called their way, the only time the Raptors don't get something called against them was when they tried to intentionally foul with 5 seconds left in the game. That was the only time the Raptors were allowed to make any sort of contact without a foul being called. The only time was when we tried to actually foul them. So that gave us, instead of 5 seconds, it gave us 2.5 seconds. It probably doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but the refs, the only time they didn't call something was when we actually tried to make a foul. So that is it for the synopsis of the game. Not as frustrating as other games. It wasn't just disappointing. At least the Raptors had some fight in this one, and at least there were spells in which they were getting to the rim and playing nicer basketball. But the bottom line is, a loss is a loss, and the Raptors lost by 4 points here and fall to 1-4 on the season. Now, I'm not, sounding the alarm bells. I'm not in panic mode, but this team needs to get it sorted out sooner rather than later. So let's go into the 3 takeaways for this one. The first key takeaway is that Nick Nurse and the Raptors need to play the guys that are contributing to success on the team. If Chris Boucher is contributing to the success of the team, he needs to be out there more often, because Pascal Siakam was hurting the team. And I know Pascal Siakam is your guy, but if he's not helping you win, put in the player like Chris Boucher who is helping you win the game. Also, Terrence Davis, who struggled and has struggled in his performances this season. Why not try Malachi Flynn? Why has Malachi Flynn not gotten any minutes? You can't just stick to your guys because you do that every game. Start playing the people that are going to help you win the basketball games. And if it is your bench player in Boucher, who is the best player on the court, and not your max player in Pascal Siakam, then so be it. Your better player has to play to help you win the game. Second key takeaway is that the Raptors need to establish a half-court offense. In the full court, we look great. When the game is slow in the second half, this is why we're struggling, the Raptors cannot get anything. So what we need to do, I think we need to go bigger more often. Chris Boucher got minutes at power forward with an Alex Leonard, Aaron Baines at center. We were really working with those lineups. Those lineups were getting stuff done, and we need to use those more often. Chris Boucher was getting to the rim, even in the half court, which was great. The Raptors need to stop settling for as many threes. Like, shooting threes is fine, but shoot less. Get to the paint more often. Get the easy buckets. And that is going to help them succeed, because they did it in the second quarter, and it was really working. And if you recognize that the half court offense isn't working, really focus on getting your stuff in the full court ball. The third key takeaway is keep your offensive schemes consistent. There were so many situations where the Raptors continued to settle for the 3 ball, and this kind of goes with the second key takeaway, but keep it consistent. Why did we drift away from what was working in the second quarter, which was, full court in transition offense and getting to the rim? It was working so well, and then in the second half, we just kind of didn't use it anymore. We stopped getting to the rim. Only Boucher was really contributing in that regard. Fred VanVleet took over the second quarter because that is exactly what he was doing. He was getting to the rim, causing problems, and being nimble in the paint, even above the bigger defenders, still finishing at the rim. Why did we drift away from that? Keep the schemes consistent. So it was clear Pascal Siakam did not bounce back in this game. Now, the Raptors didn't exactly have a bad game, but they had a bad third quarter, and they had a bad start of the fourth quarter, and that was enough. That was enough to lose in this game. Also, the fact that the refs gave the Pelicans 28 free throws in the fourth quarter. Regardless of the refs, the Raptors probably didn't deserve to win this game. However, they could have snuck it out in the end. The refs made it very difficult for that to happen, but the Pelicans, props to guys like Brandon Ingram from being able to get it done, even in the toughest situations with 3 guys on him. That's the difference. Brandon Ingram's playing like we should have Pascal Siakam playing, making things happen in the half court, just giving him the ball and willing the ball into a basket or drawing a foul. And that's basically the separation that's stopping the Raptors from winning all these close games. The Raptors, I think these are 5 games they could have won, but they lost 4 of them instead. And we're 1-4, and we're in a hole, and we play the Boston Celtics next. this could slip away from us very quickly, and things need to start being rectified. I'm going to wait about 12 to 14 games before I start to really panic, but I'm getting worried that the Raptors are not fixing the things that are glaring from game to game. What did you guys make of this game against the New Orleans Pelicans? Do you think the Raptors played well? What do you think needs to change in the next game? I think that ultimately, if your guys like Boucher are playing well, they should be on the court for the guys who are not playing well. And I'd love Siakam to succeed, but if Siakam isn't playing well, get him out and get the guys who are contributing to success in the game. But let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this game in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you like, and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. At least 4 videos a week, NBA content concerning the Toronto Raptors. Make sure you're a part of that movement. Thank you so much to everybody for the 1,500 subscribers that we just hit. We are well on our way to 2,000 and beyond. I'm very grateful for all the support coming in. At the end of the day, believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.